Hello, everybody. Sean Davis here on the NBA Front Office Show. Welcome back to another one of my draft videos. We are now 8 days away. In today's video, I want to break down my 5 biggest sleepers in this 2023 NBA draft class. Some guys that I'm super high on that I don't think are getting enough love in this draft cycle. So I'm going to do an opportunity to give out some of my sleepers I think aren't getting enough attention that I still love. This is separate from my top 5 my guys video. They'll come out in a couple of days or so. But before we get into all that, quick reminder, do subscribe right here to the NBA Front Office Show. Ring that post notification bell as well. You're going to stay up to date with a ton of content coverage from Trevor and Keith. My draft grades that I'll have out after the draft, great, going through every team's NBA draft and giving out their grades for the draft that they had. And then also some my preseason in-depth power ranking series I will return and complete this time around. So you guys want to stay in the know with all the latest here at the NBA Front Office Show. So let's dive in here with a quick few honorable mentions here for this video. Number 1, we're going to go with Julian Strother. I believe I pronounced that right. Out of Gonzaga, a really good shooter. Unfortunately, that's about it. But I think this is a guy that can go early second round, mid second round. If he falls to the Lakers, this is a perfect pick. Just not good enough defensively. Otherwise, he could have been a first round pick. Like if he was an elite shooter, which he already is, and then a high upside defender, then I think he's a first round pick. But the defense just not good enough. Number 2, speaking of defense, holding them back is Bryce Zensenbog. First off, I am super high on Bryce Zensenbog. I love his game. You're looking at one of the best 3-level scorers in this draft class, the complete package. His driving ability really sets up his mid-range and his three-point jump shot really effectively. There's not a ton of flaws offensively, not the best passer, but just the decision-making in general. But he's a sleeper because I think this, I guess, goes into like some polarization of Bryce Zensenbog. He is either a top, like a low-end lottery prospect, or he is a fringe second round pick. Like there are like the scale for Bryce Zensenbog. You're either super high on him or you're like incredibly low on him, where we're talking about early 30s. So it just depends on what draft analyst you're looking at. But I do like Bryce Zensenbog a ton. So he's an honorable mention. And then Maxwell Lewis, I think a lot of people know he's good, but I just think that he's not getting enough love. You're looking at a guy that is an elite three-point shooter, has a ton of athletic upside, but also has some defensive upside as well, and is a perfect pick for a team in the 20s or maybe late teens even that can really get a high upside 3-and-D wing, because I think that is what Max Lewis provides for you potentially. Not the best passer, but you don't need him to be. Like if he can shoot threes at a stupid high level and play good defense, you don't need him to do anything else. So that's all for right now for the honorable mentions list. Let's start off with number 5. We're going to go with Brandon Podziemski. Again, really hope I pronounced that right. I'll get it down before draft night. But you're looking at maybe the most elite three-point shooter. I mean, like, I love Jordan Hawkins, but like he might have Jordan Hawkins one up tier. I think he is arguably a better offensive player than Jordan Hawkins for sure. He is a much better 3-level scorer than Jordan Hawkins, a significantly better passer than Jordan Hawkins. Again, elite three-point shooter, really nice touch as well offensively. That's another thing that really pops out on the tape when you look at Brandon Podziemski. You'll look at a guy that scored 1.07 points per possession on pull-up threes. Great touch, 45% on runners, about 60% at the rim. For a combo guard, this is what you want to see out of him. Number 4, we're going to talk about versatility here, and there might not be more versatile players. There's a few, but Kobe Brown is not getting enough love. I think he is a first-round talent in this NBA draft cycle. You're looking at a guy that is, I mean, honestly, was a 3-point shot away. Like that was his biggest flaw. But this season, if you're buying into the jumper, 45% on catch and shoot looks. He shoots it incredibly like confidently at this point, where he shot 24% last season on catch and shoot threes. You could just see the confidence in his jump shot, even when it's not falling. I think that's super impressive. And then offensively, really freaking good driver. of the basketball. Great finisher at the rim, and then a really good playmaker, or like an underrated playmaker, and really good just playmaker in the half court for his team out of face-up scenarios. 6'8" guy, a ton of like, he uses his length really, really well defensively in terms of being a low man and help, second weak side man, protecting the basket. The big is drawn out. Underrated weak side helper at the rim. I like Kobe Brown a ton. I think another guy that in the late 20s, mid 20s even, I think could really provide a ton of value to a team in this draft cycle. If he falls in the second round, I think that is that's a benefit. Any team in the early 30s should be jumping at the bit to potentially get Kobe Brown. But I think Kobe Brown is an underrated guy who honestly is getting underrated, because I think that one of his biggest knocks is that is his age. Honestly, like, he is an older guy. He is going to be 23, I believe, at the time of the draft. Again, not the pull-up jumper isn't the best either. He does have a ton of lateral quickness, which could be a problem, but an incredibly versatile offensive player, especially if you're sold on that crazy one-year jump from a 21% jump on catch and shoot opportunities, 24% to 45%. You're sold on that, you got a great player. Number 3, Oliver Maxine Prosper, a heck of a player, in my opinion, wing out of Marquette. You're looking at a guy that is one of the most versatile defenders in the entire draft. Like, I think of Oliver, I think of Bilal Coulibaly, I think of like Victor, obviously. I think there's only a few guys who I'm trying to get at, guys that I think are as versatile defensively and as good defense. Taylor Hendricks, Jarris Walker. I can't believe I blanked on those guys. But and then also you just look at what he does. He is an elite finisher, right? But just to stay on the defensive end really quickly. Super long, lean, great defender, physical on ball accolades defensively, or attributes rather. Phenomenal in transition. In isolation situations. Again, he can guard 1 through 5 defensively and switch also. I think in a game where we value versatility so much in this current stage of the NBA, he fits into a ton of defensive schemes where especially switching is a lot more valued. A great cutter. Finished 65.2% at the rim as well. So that's something that I think a lot of NBA teams are going to be really hoping to see. And then a 34% catch and shoot 3-point shooter at the college level last season. If you can get that, and I feel like that's like the trend with some of these defensive guys is, can they be consistent 3-point shooters at their best? Like Ryan Rupert, Bilal Coulibaly, Sidi Sissoko, like some of these guys, man, like, can they, Kobe Brown to a certain extent, can the 3-point shot be consistent enough? But man, do I love Oliver Maxine Prosper, one of my guys. Before we continue, a quick reminder, please do hit that like button on this video. Super, super easy. It takes 2 seconds, way shorter than this video has gone so far. It lets the algorithm know you guys enjoy this type of content. You enjoy our draft coverage here at the NBA Front Office Show. So go ahead and ring that post notification bell as well, and hit that like button so you guys can tell YouTube, hey, we like this content. We want other people to see it. But let's move on to number 2. And this guy is actually my top 2 here. Are 2 sleeper picks, especially in potential trade back options, like the early 20s. So I'm talking 21, 22 for the Lakers. And I view a ton of stuff through purple to gold lenses, as you guys know, Lakers Nation. So these 2 guys are 2 guys that I would honestly love. I think they're perfect fits for the Lakers. And I'm going to start off with number 2 here with Nick Smith Jr., guard out of Arkansas. Now, hold on now. Give me a sec. Let me explain myself. And I guess I'm just going to start with some of the negatives of Nick Smith Jr., and then I'm going to end with the positive. I'm going to end with the good stuff with Nick Smith Jr. I think some of the negatives, I honestly, are kind of fair with Nick Smith Jr. Offensively, the decision-making is so, I don't even know, it's just super chaotic. And I'll just say that. It is so chaotic, the decision-making in traffic, especially some of the dribble moves he'll go to in traffic are really frustrating to watch, and kind of mind-boggling, to be honest with you. And then when we talk about Darvin Ham and his scheme, I think Nick Smith, from what you want in an on-ball point guard, doesn't quite fit what Darvin wants potentially. Because I think what Darvin and what the Lakers really want, which is why at times D'Lo kind of felt a little bit weird in the offense at times, and that's why he got relegated to other roles. If you want to talk like spot up, just spot up, go stay in the corner, catch and shoot. It's because I think Darvin Ham and the Lakers coaching staff really value rim pressuring guards. Dennis Schroeder, Russell Westbrook, Austin Reeves does a really good job putting pressure on the rims or on the rim. Our ball handlers in general. LeBron obviously is a great one. I think Nick Smith Jr. doesn't do a good enough job putting pressure on the rim. It is super irritating. Now, to that same vein or whatever, because he doesn't put enough pressure on the rim, he has to be a better. He has to be great, rather, from this other two levels of the floor. And he is elite in that second area of the floor, especially that runner is going to translate. That runner / floater at the NBA level is going to translate. It's going to allow him to get that shot over bigs. But again, at the same time, it's a little frustrating too, because then he just wants to avoid contact. And I don't know if it's a size thing, but sometimes he just avoids too much contact at the rim. And he's going to bail himself out to a certain extent with that floater. But to his defense, if you will, he is super, super elite with that floater or that runner, whichever word you prefer. He is super, super elite. Defensively, I think he just isn't consistent enough on a play-to-play basis. Almost a down-to-down thinking NFL draft here. But I think the defensive upside is there. It's just more so, can you get him to lock in consistently down to down, or there we go, play to play defensively. But I do think the defensive upside is there. Now, let's talk about some of the positives with Nick Smith Jr. Again, one of my favorite guys, sleeper in my opinion. Incredibly high ceiling offensively in terms of his pure scoring threat. Again, really good. I think the one-on-one self-creation is there. Smooth pull-up mid-range jumper, really likes to go right, can go left as well. The three-point jumper I'm going to talk on in a sec, but I think, again, from that mid-range area, elite. One of the better guys in this draft class. He sets it up incredibly, incredibly well, and I really do like Nick Smith Jr., but this flows into the offensive versatility, and I think he only shot around 34% on catch-and-shoot looks last season, but the mechanics look all right. The confidence or whatever looked right. It does have a quick release, which I think is a positive. But I think if the jumper, the 3-point jumper on catch and shoot looks is super consistent, that unlocks his playability at the NBA level. That unlocks the next tier of player he can become. Because then you're looking at a guy that can play on and off the ball. And on a Lakers team, for example, really unlocks who Nick Smith Jr. can be, while also having some on-ball, being an opportunity of being an on-ball threat. So a really long answer for Nick Smith Jr., but I like him a lot. And I think a team in the right situation is going to utilize them incredibly well. But number one, if you guys have been following me on Twitter at Sean_DAVI or listening to any of the recent LakersNation.com podcasts, you know I'm high on this guy. You know I think this is arguably a better fit than Derek Lively. You know, you bet it. I just said it. That rhymes. Noah Clowney, number one for the Lakers. Or number one in terms of my sleepers in general. I don't think this guy gets enough credit. And I mean, if you go through the list of guys I mentioned, maybe outside of Brandon Ponzabinski, again, I feel like I've said his name 3 different times. I'm going to figure it out before draft night. But you look at Kobe Brown, Oliver Maxine Prosper, Nick Smith to a certain extent, especially the 3-point shooting off ball translates, and Noah Clowney are all super versatile prospects. I think Noah Clowney defensively can really guard and switch on the perimeter to a certain extent, 3 through 5. A good shot blocker, especially weak side or in transition. He has a bunch of chase down blocks. And then offensively, I think that you talk about guys that can fit next to Anthony Davis in this draft class. He's at the top of my list because he played in a very modern pro-style offense at Alabama under head coach Nate Oates with a bunch of modern NBA concepts, especially over the ones, especially some of the ones we've seen in the past decade or maybe even a little bit sooner than that, talking about their 5-out motion offense at Alabama, and which included a bunch of step up ghost screening actions, design ghost screen actions, which again, the step up part of it tells you is designed for Noah Clowney. He was used a ton as a floor spacer, and he only shot around 29% from three at Alabama. But the confidence, and even then, if he's a 29-30% three-point shooter at the confidence rate that he shot it at, defenses have to close out. Defenses have to pay attention to it, and that's going to draw more gravity, if you will. It's kind of a new popular word amongst the basketball community, gravity. But, you know, if you want to use that offensively, and it drags in opposing defenses, it allows Anthony Davis to play more on the inside from that first two levels of the floor offensively. And then it also allows for in big time series against like Denver and potentially Philly in a NBA Finals matchup, it allows AD to be able to guard that best big, well, let's say it's a Jokic, but also know that, like, if he overcommits on a help assignment, let's say if he switched off and he's off ball, if he overcommits, he's able to trust that he has a weak side dude behind him that's not LeBron James, that's not 39 years old, that can clean some stuff up for him. But, man, this was a ton of fun. I plan on this being like 8 to 10 minutes. I doubled that. So thank you guys so much. Make sure you guys go follow me over on Twitter at Sean_DABI. As always, stay safe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.